Hello everyone, this is Music Corner and we are celebrating Flat Earth Society. And why? Because this what you hear now, this is Respighi's Ancient Airs and Dances, and brought to us by Dorati and Philharmonia Ungarica. And this album of Respighi is about older music from the Baroque and the Renaissance period that Respighi has used as basis for his suites. And what we are hearing now is this piece. It was originally composed, I think this is getting too loud, so I have to get the volume down. I can't hear my own voice. So this piece that we are hearing right now is right here. The original was composed by Vincenzo Galilei, yes, and as it says, he was no less the father of the great astronomer Galileo Galilei. So that's why I was thinking about flat Earth people. So this is about Respighi, and not just Respighi, but about records. And now specifically about the Mercury label. And why am I saying this to you? It's because I have 5 copies of this music. So we are listening to this right now, and just before I listened to that. And these two sound almost exactly the same. They are the best of the lot. They have I would say pretty natural sound. They have a lot of weight, and you feel the weight of the orchestra behind the recordings. You hear the delicacy of the wood instruments. Violins are a little bit harsh, but I will talk about that. Why is that? So right now I can say that these two sound just about the same, and they're absolutely superb sounding. And here's a third one which looks exactly the same on the cover side as those two, and this one is really noisy. It's on a very noisy vinyl, and it kind of sounds distorted. And let me see, did I put in a sticker on it? No, but anyway, this is way inferior than those two, and it doesn't have any weight at all. It's kind of like the foundation of the instruments is missing. And these were all the golden import series. So are these imports truly golden? Yes, those two are most definitively golden. This is it's not silver, not even bronze, but somewhere in the, wow, second or third rate. But how about the US pressings? These ones with this what's that, like purple sash. So this tells you that this is not from the first pressing, but it's a later one. And all I can tell you is that these two are utterly tragic compared to these ones. Even worse than this. They are just like wow. You could use them as like casters, but not so much about for playing music. And there is a little bit more to it, and you will be really surprised at what you are going to hear. But this is how things are, and you better be aware of it, because it happens. So what am I talking about right now? I'm talking about that these 3 records, they are really close to the RIAA, the RIAA curve. So if you have a regular phonostage that is designed for modern RIAA curve, these are very close to it. Not exactly the same. I would say they are somewhere between the RCA's RIAA curve and CBS Columbia's. And here comes the interesting bit. So even though there is a standardized RIAA curve, but each of the big labels use their own machines, their own recording systems, and they used slightly different curves. And I can tell you that the one that we call the regular RIAA section or curve, that really suits the RCA records really well. The CBS is quite off from that, so that's why most people think that CBS records are second rate, because if you listen to with the popular curve that most phono stages have now, it sounds really, well, distorted. But they are not distorted, you just need a different curve. And Mercury's, so when you look at, for example, Arthur Salvatore's website, and he's talking about music quality, then he says that he doesn't have a single Mercury or RCA recommendation on his list as really high quality recordings, and I think he's right and wrong about it. I also found that RCAs and Mercuries are not as good as EMI and Decca, especially EMI. They have really natural sounding recordings. Mercuries and RCAs sound processed and not as natural, especially in the violin sections. If you look at them, you can hear that you are listening to a recording. But part of that feeling is not because they messed up something during their process, but because they used a different EQ curve when they cut their stuff onto the record. So I have a phono stage, which is the violin. It's right there, and I can switch the EQ, the playback EQ on it, and it has 4 different EQ settings. It has the RCA, CBS, and 2 older ones, which are really fantastic when you have mono records and you can go back. But even early stereo records use a curve which is an older curve than either the RCA or CBS. However, even with these 4 curves, the Mercury falls somewhere in between the RCA or CBS. So now we are listening to it through the RCA curve, and here the violins are a little bit screechy. And if I switch it over, let's switch it over to the CBS curve. Okay, now we are at the CBS curve. Maybe let's add a little bit of volume. So now it has like a deeper tone, and the top end is more natural, but now it's the bottom end is a little bit. Some people would call it as a looser or a tubbier or chubbier sound. But I would say that the true playback is somewhere in between these two for the Mercury records. And it doesn't just end here. So if you have specimens which are done really well, and these are actually were pressed by Philips. So if you look here, does it say Philips? Not sure. I think it doesn't. Okay, I take that back. It wasn't pressed by Philips. Maybe, I don't think so. Anyway, these are Euro Mercuries, but maybe pressed in a Philips plant. I'm not sure. Regardless of that, they sound totally different than the US pressings. And here, this one, for example, it sounds the best when I use the early RIAA curve, the EQ4, so which is really odd. So they press this record with a curve that is not the standard RIAA curve, and it's not even Mercury's regular curve. And here, this is really weird because side A, that's optimal for the RCA curve, and side B is most optimal with the CBS curve. What's going on? And that's because side A is the RFR1 when you read in the dead wax, so that's the a desirable like early pressing, and RFR4 side B, which is a later pressing. So we don't know what they did. Did they adjust the curve between the early and later copies, or is it just that much wear that we find it so different? I think they did a lot of adjustment, because that RFR4, the later one, which is the side B, it sounds so much harsher that it's just unbearable. It really blasts your ears. It's crazy. So that's why you partially have to go for the CBS curve too, which has like a deeper tone, not as much high top end as the RCA curve. And also, this record tells you one more very important thing, that you will often find that there's no such clear distinction as early pressing or late pressing, but you can have mules like this one, where side A is an early pressing and then side B of the record is a late pressing. And sometimes those things happen. For example, maybe because the side B's early pressings, those stampers got damaged, or maybe they lost the lacquers or something happened at the factory, so they were forced to stamp side B from a later lacquer. That's what I wanted to tell you, is that basically, even if we are just talking about the same recording, these are the exact same performance on using two different plants. So plant 1 in the US, and that was pressed somewhere in Europe, and there's a really big difference on how the EQ was done, how the mastering was done for them. The Euro Mercury was mastered way better than the US Mercury, and this is not the first time I'm seeing that. Usually what happened in many cases, that there were some famous recordings that were made, and then multiple labels, multiple studios, pressings and editions, they used the same tape, and then it came out with different covers under different labels, and usually the European pressings are quite a bit superior than the US pressings. And actually I'm talking now about classical music, because for pop, jazz and others the situation is quite a bit more diverse, but there I have much less experience. So most of my experience is with classical music on LP, about different pressings and editions. So I hope everyone appreciated this little trip to music history and recording history. And I'm not sure what you hear about the music that's playing, because this new phone sucks big time about recording sound in any fidelity. I was a little bit disappointed about it, because my old iPhone, I think it recorded sound much more faithfully and accurately. It was, yes, limited in resolution and in many aspects, but it was tonally accurate and right. And this new phone, I think they are doing something in the software, because it really mucks up the phase response. So by no means you should use it to gauge how a system sounds. So the music was playing in the background to give you some sort of inspiration and a little insight on what Respighi's music is about. And I would say that from Respighi, the Fountains of Rome and Pies of Rome are those pieces that he is most known for, but I do not care for those at all. They are really ostentatious, really big, large-scale works. It's all about, I would say they are perfect for testing your stereo. And me and my friends, we use those all the time, a lot of times to when we get together to see, like how's the dynamics of a system. But when we are on our own, we don't really play those, because I don't think there's much merit to them in musicality. However, Respighi is a really fantastic composer, as this pieces show. Plus, if you want to hear something special from him, then look for the birds, Respighi the birds. And I think these two pieces make him a musician, a composer to look out for. If you want to know, he was a relatively contemporary composer. He died in 1939. So if you liked, please like and subscribe, and just keep on listening. And well, you cannot, because I'm going to stop the video. So seek it out for yourself, and then preferably a golden import, not an early Mercury. I think if you find one with the red sash, that will be quite a bit better quality, but these later reissues, nah, don't worry about them. So thank you, bye bye.